I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, February the 9th, brought to you in part by Southwest Commodities. That's Hadley Bunch out of Farwell, Texas there, right on the border between Clovis, New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle. But he's a specialist in cattle and grain hedging. If you guys got questions about that, but you know you need to protect yourself, get a hold of him. Also sells those livestock risk protection insurance policies that are really the going deal, guys. So if you're interested in any of those things to help offset your risk, get a hold of Southwest Commodities. Feeder boards, big premium. I tell you what, my gosh, the feeder board, after taking a little breath on Monday, and then corn and beans weren't skyrocketing higher on Tuesday, man, it shot up there nearly $2, almost at 167 based on an 800-pound steer. And that's just way up there. I mean, that's at the extreme top in our highest premium sales on premium type cattle in a square load lot. But my gosh, your out front fats are at a big premium too, with April trading over $146. And your packers still wanting to pay steady money with last week, but I don't think it's going to get the bulk of them bought this week. But we have got these inputs so expensive now that it's just we're looking at a whole different deal now. These cost of gains are closer to 150 or $1.50 a pound than they are a dollar. And in the southern plains, where we got to ship all the grain down here, it's sure $1.30, and that's on the low end, guys. So everything's changed a little bit, and then of course now we got to think about interest that's going to start going up. Our fuel has gone up. The fertilizer to grow these crops and to even put on the grass and to make hay and everything is just skyrocketed higher. We've got to be able to figure in some kind of profit here, but every time we get an inch in the board, I tell you what, the guys take a mile buying these feeder cattle. But we've got to keep the fat price higher than the cost of gain. So right now, we're at about $1.40 on our market on fats, and as to the average on cost of gain, that might be just a little bit higher, but it ain't much higher. But if these cost of gains, if corn keeps going up and beans, there's a lot of things in our rations that come from beans, that keeps going up. We get that over $1.50, well then all of a sudden we've inverted our cash and our feeder prices there, and it's going to be a whole different ball game here, guys. But keep that in mind. I'm going to tell you about National Beef Wire, where a lot of you watch this report. A lot of you get it on YouTube. A lot of you get it off of social media, and I normally drive you to the National Beef Wire website there. And then some of you just get it on your e-newsletter newsletter every morning in your inbox from the National Beef Wire. That's great. I'm glad you're getting that on there. On the National Beef Wire, we have done the hard work for you. We've got a spot on there where you can look up what state you're in, and every state in the union, we've got it listed there, and he's even got the map right next to it. And you can go on there, and it's got both of your senators, and all you got to do is click the link, and it'll take you right to where you send them a message. It's not tough. I did it in about 4 minutes. And if you guys are serious about doing something to help this, cattle price transparent discovery and transparency act, the compromise bill between Grassley and Fisher, if you want to get some minimum negotiated trade established, I agree with a lot of you RCAPers and guys. It's very, very conservative. I realize that, but it's something. I mentioned here in the last week or so that your Texas A&M research has estimated that Texas feedlot areas will go to net zero negotiated cash trade within the next 4 years. If we don't do something, that's what our reality is going to be, guys. And so we've got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And I don't care if American Farm Bureau Federation doesn't support mandates, and I don't care if the National Corporate Beef Association doesn't support mandates. I don't care about that. We've got some hard line senators, and they're working for their constituents, and they are still pushing this. Our White House administration is pushing this. This is our opportunity to get this done. If we don't do this, I guarantee you we're all going to be contract growers just like your hog and chicken people within the next 10 years. All your small independent cattle feeders will be gone. Your farmer feeders will eventually give up the fight, and all it's going to be is just your big corporates, and they're all going to be in bed with the packers just like they already are, but we're not even going to have any independent cattle feeders left. And then it's not going to be very long before you get your feeder cattle ready, and there's hardly any players to buy them in the country. You put them on the video. There's not too much activity there. You take them to your local sale barn. There's not too many different buyers there because there's not very many different holes to put them in. And they will begin to collude just like your packers have with the fat cattle market. And then there you go. You're not going to be able to background feeder cattle anymore. And then they're not going to be able to give the whorehouse prices for the calves that you cow-calf producers have been enjoying and are enjoying right now. You may want to still complain about it, and I know the inputs are high, but calves are high, really high if you raise good calves. And I don't know why you wouldn't raise good ones. It takes almost exactly the same amount of money and feed to feed a good cow as it does a turd. So why would you keep raising those turds? But anyway, we've got to get something done on this. You can get on nationalbeefwire.com. Got it. I mean, just easy as pie. You just get on there. You can do it on your phone. It'd probably be easier on your notepad or on a laptop, but you can click on there. Takes you right to where you send a message directly to your senator. You can knock both of them out, and like I said, in about 4 minutes. And I wrote a deal on there on mine. You guys can write your own saying on there for you. But the Senate Ag Committee is not necessarily impressed with NCBA right now. And they did this right in their face after the president had endorsed this bill. And the Senate Ag Committee is largely in favor of it too. So, they're not totally impressed with them. So they need to hear from grassroots farmer feeders, cow-calf producers, backgrounders, sale barn owners, order buyers, vet supply salesmen, anybody that's in the business with commercial cattle. They need to hear from you guys. And now we're starting to hear more about the vote that took place down in Houston last week. Just like when I was in Illinois there over the weekend, huge crowd, 1,000 people there. I don't know how many farmer feeders were involved. Everybody there involved in the cattle business, and I'll guarantee you over 90% of them are in favor of a mandate. Yet, the Illinois Cattlemen's Association voted right in step with your big bullies there at NCBA, voted to oppose the mandate. And then I heard early this week that another state out east that has a considerable number of cattle and are pretty progressive in the way they market them and the way that they handle their cattle, their policy board had instructed the 3 voters that they sent to Houston to vote for the mandate in whatever form it came. I know it came in through a directive. They didn't actually have a vote just for that. And they went down there, and I don't know if they got bullied. I don't know if they got too drunk the night before in the hospitality suite. I don't know if they took them to one of those fancy restaurants down there. But they changed their vote, just took it upon themselves to vote against the mandate after the policy board had instructed them otherwise. And I won't tell you the state, but it rhymes with Virginia. And they have, they grade their feeder cattle there. They bring a big premium to surrounding areas that don't have graded sales. They've got the Virginia Department of Agriculture heavily involved in aiding and marketing, and it's helping their producers, and that land's worth a lot out there, and you still got people raising calves and backgrounding feeders back there, and they understand. I've got a lot of friends in Virginia in the cattle business out there. Goes way back to my days when I used to report their fat cattle market up in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. But I know a lot of people back there, and every one of them would be able to see this the right way, which I'm saying my way is the right way. I'll always say that. But I wondered what in the world were they thinking? Well, they were told what to do, and they went down there and changed their mind. And that ain't right. That is absolutely not right. So whenever you're chosen to go and be a voter on there and represent your group, and you vote the opposite way, that is chicken shit right there, and it shouldn't be put up with. And there's no telling how many other states across the southeast that the same thing happened. I guarantee you they get pushed around, get in there in that bully pulpit, and they get pushed around and forced and their arm twisted into doing something just because of the big voters. Now, they only had 3 votes. Virginia's a big cattle state, got 3 votes. Texas cattle feeders had 25 votes in comparison. That's ridiculous also. But let's look at your board for Tuesday. February live cattle futures up 15 cents at 141.97. April was down 22, so just kind of mixed, basically steady on your fed cattle futures. Down 22 on April at 146.17. On your back months, they were down 15 on your way out fronts, and then up 40 on your more nearbys. Feeder cattle, March feeder cattle up $1.85, as I mentioned, 166.87, based on an 800-pound steer here in about 3 weeks, or actually it doesn't mature until the end of March, but we're going to have to get with it, guys. Your CME cash feeder cattle index is only 161.5 about. Of course, it's a day or two behind. You never know when it's current. Your real-time index is just under 164, but that's still a far cry from 167 almost there. April feeder cattle contracts up $1.50, 171.77. Whew, my goodness. Now, how about your back months? They were up 22 cents to up $1.17, so pretty good there too. And it's all because, or not all because, but it was aided by your grains being a little bit cheaper, but not nearly as much cheaper as they were higher on Monday. Corn was down 3 cents on Tuesday at 6.32 cents a bushel. Beans were down 12 3/4 after being up huge on Monday, but 15.69 a bushel for beans. Wow. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 9.5 cents, 8.01 1/4. Fat cattle trade started to trickle in on Tuesday and had some weak sisters taking near steady money with last week. But the bids are at the extreme top of last week's trade, just about. So we're going to get more money for fat cattle this week, but you guys got to dig in a little bit. And I realize that the board has been beating you up on your hedges, but if you hold out and get a little bit more money on your cash fats, that helps quite a bit, guys. Iowa had 1,000 head confirmed on Tuesday from 139 to 140 live and 222. The 222 dress bids were prevalent all over the northern plains, so we could have had a lot of trade at 222 if we wanted it, but likely they got a smaller farmer feeder there that was afraid that he wasn't going to get another bid, so he went ahead and took that. If we had minimum mandated requirements on that trade, they would feel so much more comfortable whenever they got into those negotiations with the packers. How about Nebraska? 2,100 head on Tuesday there. Live sales from 140 to 141. That's pretty encouraging there. Didn't have any dress trade. Kansas had one deal, 500 head, some steers and heifers both at 138. My gosh, why would you take 138 when you could get 139 and 40 all week last week? But and the board's been hasn't changed anything, and you've got lighter supplies. Had a huge dispersal of your show list last week. The packers are short bought on the few negotiated cattle that they need, why would you take steady or less money? Texas didn't have any sales confirmed on Tuesday. How about a sale barn? Boy, I just love sale barns, don't you? Talk about price discovery. How about Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota? That's the best fat cattle auction that we have in the central part of the United States there. And the market was pretty much steady, but the highs or the tops were a little bit better. So awful good market. They had an awful good market last week, but bulk of your fat steers and heifers sold from 138.5 to 145. That sounds awful good, with some extreme tops up to 146.25. You know, that's true price discovery right there, guys. I know it's not efficient or really feasible for you guys to haul all your cattle up to Stockman's and Yankton. Well, you know, maybe if we got minimum negotiated cash trade mandate, we'd start seeing some fat cattle auctions in the Southern Plains. I've talked to Bill Martin about it there at Wildorado at Lone Star Stockyards. He's got the facility to do it and the want to do it. Can't get any packers to participate in it. Got feedlots all around. You know, that would be one way that your packers could fulfill their negotiated mandate, is through an auction purchase of steers and heifers. That's absolutely one way they could do it. Let's let that happen, guys. At Stockman's in Yankton, they had 5 loads of fat cattle that come in from Kansas, weighing in the 17s. Now, wonder what the deal was there. I thought the AMAs that Kansas and Texas love so much, they take care of everybody down there. Well, evidently that guy didn't have one. His cattle got too big. He evidently asked $1 more for his fat sometime down the line, and they made an example out of him. The packers did. He got hung up with some fat cattle there weighing in the 1700s and had to haul them to Yankton to get a check for him. Now, that's a true story right there, guys. How about your box beef cutout values? They were lower again. Choice cuts $277.46, down $1.50. Selects down $1.20 at $273.84. That choice select spread that everybody's so worried about is a whopping $3.62 on your cutouts. You kidding me? And they want to take your head off whenever you get a select when you send it in on the grid. Even a negotiated grid or whatever, and it's costing them $3.50, $100. What the heck? How about a slaughter? 122,000 on Tuesday estimated. Goodness, I mean, we could have a huge slaughter if we'd stay with it, and they'd go ahead and do a Saturday deal. But some of these new negotiations that they've made with unions, you know, they want their Saturdays off. So we are having a hard time getting a big Saturday, and it's killing our weekly slaughter. But 243,000 through the first 2 days of this week, 2,000 more than last week, which was good, and 14,000 more than the same week a year ago. But if you guys are interested in coming and listening to one of my presentations, and you live up in the Midwest there, Platte Valley Cattlemen's Association, in Humphrey, Nebraska, and that's Platte County there. I'm going to be going up there on Saturday evening and giving a presentation. It's going to be a lot of the same kind of stuff, but we're going to hit some of these ideas home, and I won't have to hold back at all, because that's Nebraska. They're an affiliate of Nebraska Cattlemen's Association. Nebraska Cattlemen's Association has been on board with this mandate deal the whole way. And you think they don't feed a lot of cattle and raise a lot of cattle in Nebraska, but it's going to be at the Humphrey Community Center there on Saturday evening, this Saturday evening. So if you can make it, attend. They said that they'll try to make room for as many people that want to come. They've already sold over 500 tickets, but it's going to be a big gathering and some good fellowship and visiting there about the industry. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets. Real-time index on DB auction late in the day on Tuesday sitting at 163.92, and that's up another $1.74, guys, just since the end of Monday's trade, and it's launching up there quite a bit. But I tell you what, it's hard to find the prices that are as big as what your spot feeder cattle futures contract is. But let's look at some of your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri. About 1,000 head is all, and that's probably going to be about our last sale that's going to in the plains area that's going to be affected by last week's storm. But they had a lot of ice and snow in that area there, and some of those back roads are still ice packed and hard to get down, and where it's melting and it's getting muddy. But receipts curbed there at Ozarks Regional Stockyards in West Plains. They had another nearly 1,000 head on their in-house video that they do with DV auction, so that is a going deal for Ozarks, and good for them for helping those people market all those cattle in that way. But on the light run that they had, steer and heifer calves sold $2 to $7 higher, spots as much as $12 higher. Yearlings were not well tested. They are going to have a special replacement cow sale and bull sale this Saturday, the 12th, at noon, at high noon. You can view and bid that sale on DV auction just like you can their in-house videos of the regular feeder cattle auction there in West Plains. But get on to DV auction at noon Central Time and watch that special replacement cow sale at West Plains. How about some big time quotes from all around the circuit there? I got several of them. We got so many good sales, not huge sales, but really good regional type sales on Tuesday. How about Gordon Livestock Market in Gordon, Nebraska? 179 head, 558 pound steers, bring 209. Goodness. My friend Mark Service, former owner and manager of St. Joe Stockyards, he's taken his business to Holton Livestock Exchange in Holton, Kansas there, which is closer really to where he lives. And man, as he got that sale barn burning. But he had the Yowsey cattle there that used to come to St. Joe Stockyards before it was sold and tore down. Out of Hiawatha, Kansas there, they sold 73 head, 698 pound steers at $178.60. And we'd really like to be reporting that market on Cattle Market Central and could tell you about them a whole lot more often than just whenever Mark gets the urge to give me a call. But how about some other quotes from all around the region? How about the in-house video at Lone Star Stockyards? They just had their first one a week ago, had another one this week, and they had a really nice set of cattle there. Local cattle from Stratford, Texas, off the non-existent wheat. Going to be delivering the first week of March. 240 head, 850 pound commodity type steers there at $157.75. How about Beaver County Stockyard? Beaver, Oklahoma. Wow. Southern Plains, mega Southern Plains, one of the driest places in the world right now, one of the hottest feeder cattle auctions in Beaver, 64 head, 864 pound steers, bring $167.50. It was one of 2 or 3 quotes that I found in the entire United States this week that were higher than the March feeder cattle quote for feeder cattle for contracts, which is almost 167. Those cattle weighing on top of 8.5 at 167.50. Goodness gracious. How about Knoxville Regional Livestock, Knoxville, Iowa? I talked to my friend Brandon Fry there, and he had some cattle off the Bay Farms that sold on Tuesday. 82 head, 670 pound steers at $187. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, your National Beef Wire top quote for the day, come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange, Kimball, South Dakota. 127 head, 910 pound steers, bring $166.10. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.